We don't rush into this one. We noticed the pause first, the kind that settles after plates are cleared and no one reaches for dessert. In that pause, something ordinary tipped. Wynn Parker was still sitting at the table when it happened, and the room decided who she was allowed to be. Here's where she begins. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even plan the sentence. It just landed there between the salt shaker and my father's folded napkin. I'm not wiring any more money this month. My mother's fork hovered, then came down too hard against the plate. My brother leaned back, chair legs scraping, a small smile like I'd told a joke that missed. My father didn't look at me right away. He pressed his thumb into the table. Once, like he was checking for a pulse. We need you to help keep the bank off our backs, my mother said. Her tone stayed soft. It always did. I can't. I told them. I'm barely keeping up. My brother laughed. You always say that. You always figure it out. The room tilted. I felt it in my chest before anyone spoke again. My father finally turned. If you're not contributing to this family, he said, slow and clean. That room doesn't belong to you. I stared at him. You're telling me to leave. I'm telling you how this works. He replied, you don't get to opt out and still live here. My mother crossed her arms. We're not throwing you out. We're asking you to be fair. Fair is me leaving and still paying. The words came out flatter than I expected. We're asking you to do your part, she said, just until things stabilize. From the doorway, we can note this without adding weight, the decision didn't sound angry. It sounded practiced. I stood up. The chair felt too light. I'll pack tonight. My brother shook his head. You're being dramatic. I looked at him. You're being comfortable. No one followed me down the hall. I folded my clothes into boxes while the television hummed in the living room. When I carried the last one out, my mother touched my arm. You'll still help with the mortgage, she said. You know what's at stake. I nodded once. Then I picked up the box and walked out. If you want to stay with this story, let it stay with you. I packed faster than I thought I would, not because I wanted to leave, but because standing still felt worse. Shirts, jeans, the charger I always forgot until my phone hit red. Every few minutes I stopped, listening, half expecting someone to knock. No one did. When I carried the first box past the kitchen, my mother was rinsing plates, water running too long. She didn't turn around. You're taking the lamp. Her voice stayed neutral, like this was about decor. I bought it. A pause. Then, we'll need you to keep sending the monthly transfer, just until things calm down. I set the box on the counter. I'm not living here. That doesn't change the mortgage, she replied. The bank doesn't care where you sleep. My father appeared in the doorway. We're already behind, he added. Missing even 1 month makes it worse. I leaned against the counter, felt the cold through my shirt. You told me to leave. We told you how the household works. His mouth tightened. This isn't personal. My brother wandered in, scrolling on his phone. You'll figure it out, he muttered. You always do. Something in me went quiet then, not angry, just flat. I'm paying $1,350 every month. I told them, that's more than my rent will be. My mother finally turned. You make more than enough. I take home about $4,100. I said, after taxes, after insurance. No one responded. My father looked at the floor. My brother shrugged. Just don't make this harder than it needs to be, my mother said. I picked up the box again. My hands were shaking, but not enough to drop it. Outside, the air felt sharper. I loaded my car, box by box, while the house stayed dark behind me. My phone buzzed once, a notification from the banking app, the scheduled transfer reminder. I silenced it and drove away. Blair left the light on for me, just the lamp by the couch, the one with the crooked shade. She'd folded a blanket and set it at one end like she didn't want to assume how long I'd stay. You hungry? She asked from the kitchen. I've got leftover noodles. They're fine. Fine works. We ate standing up. The microwave beeped too loud. I noticed a crack in her mug shaped like a lightning bolt. "So," she said, leaning against the counter. "What happened?" I told her the short version first. The dinner. The sentence about the room not belonging to me. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she nodded once. "And they still want you to pay." "Yeah. How much are you sending them?" I hesitated. Then, 1,350 a month. Her eyebrows lifted, just slightly. "That's not nothing." "I know." She waited. I kept going. "My take-home is about 4,100, after taxes, insurance, all that." She did the math in her head. I could see it. "So you've been floating the house, and utilities, and whenever Cole's short." She let out a breath. "When?" I shrugged. "I have a sinking fund." Her eyes snapped back to mine. "You do not huge." "I started it a while ago, just in case." I stared at the countertop. "It'll cover first month's rent and the move-in fee." Mostly. "I might need to borrow a little, just for the first week." She didn't even pause. "Of course." I nodded, throat tight. "I'll pay you back." "I know." Later. On the couch. The apartment settled around us, pipes ticking. Someone upstairs pacing. My phone buzzed again. Another reminder. Same transfer. Same amount. I opened my banking app, scrolled through old transactions. The same number. Over and over. Month after month. I turned the phone face down. Blair called from her room. "You okay out there?" "Yeah," I said. "Just counting. Don't do it all tonight. I won't." The ceiling fan hummed. I stared at it, letting the silence sit. Not peaceful, not yet. Just quiet enough to hear myself think. The cafe in Logan Square smelled like burnt espresso and citrus cleaner. Asa was behind the counter, sleeves rolled, hair pulled back like he'd been there too long already. "Rough morning." He slid a cup toward me before I asked. "Something like that." I took the first sip and winced. Too hot. He noticed. "Give it a second." I laughed, short and tired. "That tracks." He leaned his elbows on the counter once the rush thinned. "You want the long version or the short one, whichever doesn't make you late for your break." He tilted his head. "Try me." So I told him. Not everything. Just enough. The dinner. The packing. The part where I was still expected to send money even after I left. "How much are we talking?" he asked. 1,350 a month. His mouth pulled tight. "And they told you to move out." "Yeah." He shook his head slowly. "That's not family." He paused, then added, "Quieter." That's a business model. The words landed hard, not dramatic, just accurate. I stared at the foam sinking into my coffee. They keep saying it's temporary, as long as it's working for them. I didn't answer. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from my father. "We need to talk about the next transfer." Asa watched my face change. "You don't have to answer that. I know, but you're going to..." Not like before. I typed with my thumbs hovering, deleting twice before settling on something clean. "I won't be sending money for the mortgage or utilities anymore. I need to focus on my own housing and expenses. This isn't negotiable." I sent it. The screen stayed quiet. Asa nodded once. That took guts. It didn't feel like it. Most things that matter don't. A moment passed. Then my phone lit up. "You're acting out. We'll talk later." I locked the screen. From the corner table, we noticed the way people kept moving around us. Cups clinking, chairs scraping, life continuing without checking if anyone was ready. Asa broke the silence. "You've been carrying them." "I know." "And now you're putting it down." I wrapped my hands around the mug, letting the heat sink in. Outside. A bus groaned at the stop, doors folding shut. When I stood to leave, Asa called after me. "Hey, whatever happens next." I turned. "Don't confuse silence with peace." I nodded. not sure what I'd find instead, and stepped back onto the sidewalk. The studio smelled like fresh paint and old heat. Radiators clicked along the wall, impatient, like they'd been doing this longer than I had. The super handed me the keys and waited while I tried them twice, just to be sure. Heat's included, he said. Hot water too. Don't crank it all the way. These old pipes get dramatic. I'll keep it gentle. He nodded and left. The door shut with a hollow sound that echoed longer than it should have. I set my bag down in the middle of the room. One window, a kitchenette that barely qualified. The floor dipped near the sink. It was fine. It was mine. My phone buzzed. Blair. You make it. Yeah. Need anything? I looked around. An air mattress leaned against the wall. A folded receipt on the counter. First month's rent and the move-in fee. The sinking fund took the hit. Blair's loan covered the gap. I'm good. Thank you. Anytime. I unpacked slowly. Not because there was a lot, but because there was no one waiting. No noise from another room. No television bleeding through the walls. Just the radiator ticking and the hum of traffic outside. That night, I ate cereal out of a mug. Sat on the floor. The silence felt loud, like I'd turned something off without knowing what it powered. My phone stayed face down. No alerts, no reminders, no messages asking if I'd sent anything yet. When I finally lay down, the ceiling fan wobbled, then steadied. I counted my breaths. Not to calm down, just to feel the time passing. Freedom didn't rush in. It didn't feel light or clean. It felt like standing still after a long sprint. Lungs burning, waiting to see what would hurt next. Outside, a train rattled by. Inside, nothing asked anything of me. I closed my eyes and let the quiet sit where the noise used to be. Cole texted 2 days after I moved in. Can we talk? Not at the house. We met at a small park halfway between my place and the old neighborhood, a bench with peeling paint. Someone had left a glove on the ground, one finger turned inside out. He was already there, pacing. Hoodie pulled up even though it wasn't cold. You look tired, he said when he saw me. Yeah. He nodded like that explained things. We sat, didn't touch. They're freaking out. He started. Mom's crying all the time. Dad keeps calling the bank. It's bad. Wynn, I know it's bad. They thought you'd cool off. I watched a kid ride past on a scooter, helmet crooked. They always think that. He rubbed his hands together. The certification payment bounced. I might lose my spot. If I don't pay by Friday, they'll drop me from the program. I didn't answer right away. I'm not asking you to fix everything, he added quickly. Just help me get through this part. This part keeps changing. Cole, it's always a new part that needs fixing. He sighed. You're better at this stuff. At what? Life, he said. Being an adult? You've always been built for it. Something in my chest tightened. Not sharp. Heavy. I wasn't built for it. I said. I was trained for it. He blinked. What does that even mean? It means someone had to be responsible. And it wasn't you. I learned early that things fall apart if I don't hold them together. He looked down at his shoes. They leaned on you because you didn't fall. I didn't fall because I never had the chance to. He didn't argue. That was new. I don't know what to do, he said after a moment. If I don't get through this, I'm stuck. I can help. I told him. Just not with money. I'm helping you with a plan instead of a handout. His head snapped up. So that's it. No. I met his eyes. I'll help you apply for need-based grants. I'll look at your resume tonight. There's a warehouse nearby hiring for the night shift. It's hard work, but it's a paycheck. You can pay for your own certification if you start Monday. He swallowed hard, the entitlement fading into raw fear. A warehouse win. I don't know if I can. You're going to learn, I said, just like I had to. I can support your plan, but I refuse to be your plan. He leaned back, staring at the sky. They say you're punishing us. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. He stayed quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded once. I'll check out that warehouse. I hate that you're right, but I'll check it. I stood first. I love you. That hasn't changed. I don't know how to do this without you. You're about to find out how much you're capable of. As I walked away, I didn't feel lighter, just clearer. The lawn was taller than I remembered, not wild, just neglected. The mailbox sagged, a stack of envelopes bending it forward like it was tired of holding things. My mother opened the door before I knocked. Her smile showed up late. You came. I said I would. Inside. The air smelled the same, cleaner and something fried. The living room looked smaller, or maybe emptier. Papers covered the coffee table, spread out like they'd been examined and put back in the wrong order. My father stood near the window. He didn't offer a hug. He didn't tell me to sit. He just nodded. We didn't think it would get this bad this fast, my mother said. She picked up a letter, then set it down again. The bank sent another notice. I leaned forward and read the header. Past due, escrow shortage. Final warning before foreclosure proceedings. You stopped sending money, my father said. His voice stayed even. We felt it immediately. I was sending more than half my take-home. I replied, Of course you did. He exhaled through his nose. We're applying for a loan modification. They want proof of income changes. Spending records. My mother folded her hands. We didn't realize how much you were covering. I looked at the papers. Subscriptions I didn't recognize. A car payment that hadn't changed. Groceries from places I never shopped. You built your life around my transfers, I said. That was always going to collapse. My father stiffened. We did what we had to. You did what you could because I absorbed the consequences. Silence settled. Not explosive. Heavy. I'm not here to bail you out. I continued, but I'll help you make this real. My mother looked up. What does that mean? It means we go through the budget, cut what doesn't fit, document everything for the loan modification, talk to the bank instead of guessing. And money, my father added. I'll cover one bill. I said, the shut-off notice is dated this week. That's it. My mother's shoulders dropped. Thank you. It's not a reset. I said, it's a bridge. She nodded, eyes wet. My father didn't argue. That felt new. When I stood to leave, the house felt quieter than my studio. Not empty. Exposed. At the door. My mother touched my sleeve. You sound different. I am. I stepped outside and didn't look back. It was close to midnight when my phone rang. I'd already changed into sweatpants, the radiator clanking like it had a dissenting opinion. I almost let it go to voicemail, but the persistence of the vibration felt like a physical tug. Hey, I answered. My mother's voice came through, thin, stretched. Did I wake you? I was still up, a heavy breath on the line. Then, the bank called today. They're reviewing the loan modification, but they're hesitant. They said our debt-to-income ratio is too high now that your income isn't listed. She paused, the guilt hanging in the air. They want a good faith payment to keep the account from moving to the legal department. I sat on the edge of the bed, my feet touching the cold floor. How much? Mom, $2,750, she said quickly, like ripping off a bandage. It's the reinstatement fee plus the late interest. They said if we pay this, they'll stop the foreclosure clock for another 30 days. In the background, I heard the TV blaring a luxury they still hadn't cut. My father's voice was low and frustrated in the distance. I can't do that, I said. My voice was steadier than I felt. Silence. Then, softer. The ultimate weapon Wynn. This is the house you grew up in. The house we brought you home to. I pressed my thumb into the mattress until it hurt. I know what house it is. But Mom, If I pay this $2,750 today, where is the money for next month coming from? And the month after we're picking up shifts? We're trying, I saw the budget. I countered. Even with extra shifts, you're short. This money wouldn't be saving the house. It would just be buying 30 days of pretending. I'd be extending everyone's pain, including mine. Her breath hitched. So, you're just going to watch us lose it. I'm not watching. I'm standing right here offering to help you survive what comes next. But I can't hold the ceiling up anymore while the foundation is crumbling. It's not sustainable. The television volume dropped in the background. My father must have been listening. What are we supposed to do? Wynn, where do we go? You find a place you can actually afford without my salary propping it up, I said. I'll help you look at rentals. I'll help you pack. I'll even help with the security deposit on a smaller place. But I won't burn down my future to keep a roof over yours that you can't keep for yourselves. I heard her swallow a dry, brittle sound. I was afraid you'd say that. I was afraid you'd ask. After a long moment, she sighed. It wasn't an agreement, just a weary surrender to the truth. Okay, I'll check in tomorrow. I said, we'll be here. I hung up and listened to the radiator settle. The quiet felt heavy, but for the first time, it didn't feel like a cage. I wasn't bracing for the next call because I finally knew exactly what my answer would be. The house went under contract 2 months later. It wasn't a victory, but it was an ending. My mother texted me the morning the sold sign replaced the foreclosure notice. No emojis, no follow-up request. Just a picture of the empty driveway where my car used to sit every Sunday. We're moving into the rental this weekend, she wrote. I replied with a heart and a promise to help them pack. It felt right helping with my hands, not my bank account. Cole sent a message that Saturday night. Paid my first month's rent at the new place. Used my warehouse bonus. Then, after a long pause, I get it now. Wynn, I actually get it. I stared at the screen for a while before typing back. I'm proud of you. Cole, at work. Life had found a new rhythm. Meetings, deadlines, a career track that belonged to me because I finally had the mental space to pursue it. I watched my emergency fund climb slowly, quietly, no drama, no urgency. Just the steady math of a life in balance. One evening, Blair came over with takeout. We sat on the floor of my studio, the radiator hissing a gentle accompaniment to our laughter. You look like you're actually breathing, she said, wiping sauce from her thumb. I think I am, I said, surprised that it was true. Later, after she left, I locked my door and leaned against it. The apartment hummed with the sounds of uptown distant sirens, old pipes, a life that didn't need me to fix it every hour. My phone buzzed one last time. I'm learning how to live without leaning on you. My mother sent, I'm sorry it took losing the house to understand that. I didn't answer right away. When I did, it was simple, I love you. The quiet didn't feel empty anymore. It felt chosen. For years, I thought love meant staying until there was nothing left of me. Now I know that setting a boundary wasn't an act of war. It was the first time I ever truly showed up for myself. At Revenge Argonne, we stayed with this story because sometimes the loudest turning points sound like silence. If this story lingered with you, you already know why.